I hope everyone is doing well. I wanted to create a quick video to show you all the new features for Copilot Studio that were announced during Build conference. Um, I have access to some of them. The one that I'm missing, or the big one that I'm missing, is the multi-agent capability. So I'll create a separate video for that one once I have access to it. But here, what I've done is I've created a new agent, and I'm on the Overview tab. So the first thing, or the first feature that we have now is you have ability to change the underlying LLM model that's used by this agent. So in this case, you can see by default we use GPT-4, but depending on your use case, if you want to use a different model, you can simply click here, click on edit, and then choose the model that you need for your use case. So in my case, I only have these two, but in coming weeks, you'll also be able to select any model that's available in Azure AI Foundry, or if you have fine-tuned model that you have deployed in Foundry, you would be able to connect that as a native LLM that powers your agent. So this is a really good feature, especially for regulated industry where you might have a fine-tuned model that you might want to use for your use case. The other key updates is on the knowledge section. So here we now have announced this feature where we can use unstructured data as a knowledge source. So what that means is when you upload files directly here in this section, or if you connect to files on SharePoint or OneDrive from here, what this feature does is it basically downloads those files into DataWorks, and then we use chunking and vectorization to allow semantic search capability. So if you use this feature, you should see much better results because it allows semantic searching and vectorization. So this is a new feature that was announced at Build. So here you can see I can click on SharePoint. I can browse my sites from here and then choose the files I need from my document library. And once I select these files, what it does is behind the scene, it will store these files in DataWorks, and then we chunk them, vectorize them, and then allow or use semantic search to reason over that data. So this is really great feature, and you should see a significant improvement in terms of quality of response. And when I show you this demo of this agent, you can actually see the quality of response that I get when I'm using these files, which are uploaded directly in DataWorks. If you want to understand more details around this feature, you can look at our documentation. So here we have a good explanation of how this works. So you can see when users upload the file, they are being downloaded to DataWorks, and then we do indexing. We extract information from images and text, and then vectorize it. And then we allow semantic search capability using Azure AI Search. So that's how this feature works behind the scene. The next update on the knowledge is you also have capability to reason over SharePoint list as a data source. So SharePoint list is going to be a native data source now. So if I click on SharePoint, I browse my SharePoint instance, you can see I now can choose any of the SharePoint lists that I have within my SharePoint tenant. So in my case, I have already connected it to this leave request app SharePoint list. So this list has leave information for different employees. So now I can use this data uh, within my agent. So basically, my agent can reason over that data to answer any question that user might be asking. So that those are like some of the key updates on the knowledge side. The other thing I want to highlight is for web search, and this is what I'm going to show for this use case. So now you have capability to format the response that is shown to the user. So in my case, what I do is I allow this agent to use data from the web. So you can see I've turned on the web search, and under settings, I can create a template that I want my agent to use so that I can provide a consistent formatting or consistent response when it's shown to the user. So in this case, when the user is asking questions related to uh, movies, I want the response to be shown in this format. So with this, I'm able to provide a consistent response to the user, even though the response is coming from web search. So this is really helpful if you want to show a consistent response, or if you want to summarize your response in a certain way. You can use this response formatting option here to tailor it based on your use case. The other thing to highlight here is for moderation, now you have more granular control in terms of how you show the message to your end user. So in this case, when the content is filtered by moderation rules, I'm using this sentence to tell my end user that this information is restricted by our organization. So you can customize this based on your use case, but this is helpful just from user experience perspective, so that your user knows that the response is flagged by content moderation rules. And lastly, we now natively allow you to capture user feedback. So for any generated image, you can allow your users to give thumbs up or thumbs down, and then capture any additional comments that might be useful for your team to optimize the agent once you have deployed it in production. So you can capture the comments, review it periodically, and then optimize it based on users' feedback. So these are some new updates under settings tab. Now, next, I want to show you some of the new updates on the analytics section. So under analytics, you can now see the message consumption at agent level. So you can see here, if I click on see billing, it shows me breakdown of how many messages are consumed by this agent over time, right? So here you can see the trend of how this agent is using or burning messages. It also shows you the cost distribution. So this is helpful if you want to understand what types of messages are being used by this agent. So if you have generated messages, or if you're using agent flow, it will show you the breakdown by different types of messages that are being used by this agent. The same thing is true for measuring the KPIs or effectiveness. So here you can see we provide more granular breakdown of how your agent is performing. So you can see a detailed breakdown of how many sessions were escalated, how many were resolved, and if you have created any custom topics, you can also see the breakdown by each topic. So this is very helpful, especially when you have large number of topics. You can see what topics are being frequently used, and if you're not seeing the right response, you can use this to optimize your agent. Scrolling down, you can also understand the usage both at the knowledge source level. So you can see which knowledge source is being used frequently, so that you understand what types of questions users are asking. And then if you're missing any knowledge sources, if the questions are not getting answered. And then same is true for tools usage. So you can see that same breakdown for the tools that you might have connected to your agent. So in my case, I have a MCP server, but if you have multiple tools, they'll show up here, and it will show which tools are being used more frequently by this agent. So this will help you get a good understanding of how your agent is performing once you have deployed to production. Okay, and then lastly, on the channels part, you have a new channel, SharePoint, so you can directly deploy your agent on any of the SharePoint site that you might own. So in my case, you can see I have all these site that I own on this tenant. I can simply choose the one I want to deploy this agent to, and then click on deploy, and this will deploy my agent on this SharePoint site. The one that I don't have access to yet is the WhatsApp channel, which was announced also at Build. In coming weeks, we'll also support WhatsApp as a native channel for Copilot Studio. And the lastly, on the tools side, I just wanted to show you this MCP server. So MCP server is generally available. So in my case, I have this custom MCP server that I've connected to my agent. But the key thing that I wanted to show is when you connect to MCP server, and you can know that it's a MCP server by looking at the type. So in my case, you can see the type is set to MCP. So once you connect to MCP server, it actually shows you list of tools that are available within this MCP server. So here you can see these are all the tools that this MCP server exposes. Similarly, if you're connecting to first-party MCP server that is provided by different vendors, you'll be able to understand what tools are available for that specific MCP server, so that when you're designing your conversational flow, you can make sure your agent is using the right tool that might be needed for your use case. So this is pretty helpful, especially since MCP is going to be golden standard when it comes to scaling AI. I think in order for you to scale your AI use cases, where you might have multiple agents connect to a single MCP server, this feature would be really helpful. So as and when you have new tools, you can keep adding them to your server without actually impacting any agent flow. So once you add your new tools to your MCP server, it will be picked up by agent without you having to do any changes at the agent level. So that's, I think, those are all the new features that I have access to at this point. I'll quickly show you the demo of this agent as well, just to show you some of the difference in quality when you are using files that are uploaded using that unstructured data as a knowledge source feature. So in this case, if I ask something, what is the difference between Concur and HRG? You can see in this case, this information is going to come from the PDF file that I had uploaded using the new feature. So it's now stored in Dataverse, and it's using semantic search to provide me a response. And you'll see the difference in the quality when the response is shown. So here it's found the answer, and you can see the response is going to be very detailed, and it has all the relevant context based on my question. So it's able to do that because of the semantic search capability, and also because we are using vector indexing in order to chunk the file that is uploaded. So this is pretty helpful, especially if you have files that are sitting in OneDrive or SharePoint. You can now allow semantic search by using this feature. Uh, the other thing I can quickly ask is my trip to Dublin uh, leave approved? So this question should use the SharePoint list. Um, you can see now, because we are using SharePoint list as one of the data source, your agent should be able to use that information and reason over that information. So here you can see it's able to get me the information. It shows the status as not available, but it has vacation day requested, vacation denied 3 days ago. So basically, it's able to get that information. It's also coming from here. If you see, for some reason, it's not pulling the status, but it has access to the SharePoint list. You can see if I click on that link, it should take me to the SharePoint Lee Request app page so that you can see where all that data is coming from. So that's how you can use the SharePoint Leave or SharePoint list as a data source. The other thing I wanted to also show is how you can use the MCP server. So in my case, if I just say Chuck Norris joke, so here you can see it's using the MCP server, and then it's using this tool to get me a Chuck Norris joke. So here you can see it's able to get me a Chuck Norris joke. It's using this tool within this MCP server. So this is how you would be able to use different tools that are exposed by your either custom MCP server or if you're using a vendor MCP server. And then the last thing also to show you here is because I allow web searching. So if I ask, can you tell me about Inception movie? You can see that it's going to search the web and then use the template that I've set for the response to make sure the response is shown in a consistent manner. So here you can see it's coming from the web and it's using the format that I have set on the settings page. Same way if I ask, tell me about Matrix movie, you'll see that it's going to get that information from the web and it's also going to use the same format. So this is really helpful when you want to show a consistent format to your end users. So here you can see I have a consistent format for all the responses that are being shown to the end user. So this is the first one, and this is the second one. So this is very helpful from user experience standpoint. The granular control in terms of how you show the output to the user can be controlled using this feature. So these were all the features I have access to as of today. I'll make a separate video for multi-agent scenario once I have access to that feature. But if you guys have any questions related to these features that I've shown, feel free to leave a comment and I will respond as soon as I can. Thanks for watching.